We've got a good crowd here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And as people come in, they'll just pop in as they do. All right, so we've got already North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Kerala, Currituck. I love seeing those. Baltimore, Camden, Georgia, Texas. All right, so we've got quite a few people here. I'll explain this a little bit more lately, but we did set up this call specifically for Currituck County in North Carolina. And because of the way that the gathering site works, I think a lot of other people saw it too and wanted to join in. So we're totally happy for that. And we want to create that space here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. We're so glad you're here for this community gathering. It's right and good to be in community in hard times. I'm Shay Box. I organized today's call, and while I work with mission-driven organizations as a brand strategist, I'll be honest, I haven't been as involved locally as I want to be, and that's changing today. So like many of you, I want to build stronger connections here in Currituck County. I'm joining you from Moyock, North Carolina, which sits on the ancestral homelands and gathering places of many indigenous peoples, especially the Lumbee tribe of North Carolina. And I'd love for you to take a moment to consider whose land you're on today as well, those indigenous people that guarded that land before we were here. It looks like we have people from all over the East Coast, and you will get a chance to build local power together when we go into breakout rooms. But first, let me also introduce Josh, our tech manager. He'll be keeping things running smoothly behind the scenes and helping in the chat. Josh, do you want to pop in and say hi?
Yeah, so hi everyone. Good evening. I'm so happy to see so many people here. This is really exciting. I'm a college student and I'm studying political science. And this year was my first opportunity to vote. However, the results were really upsetting for me. And I felt like my vote didn't really matter in this last election. So I'm here to participate and engage in the process. So thank you so much for all you faces.
All right. Thank you, Josh. All right. So, Trump's victory is now official, right? We all know that. And while this news lands heavy, we're gathering for a reason to support each other and plan our next steps together. This space will be both for processing our feelings and committing to action. Today, we're going to talk about why we're here. We'll hold space for our feelings. We'll find ways to support one another, and we'll unpack some next steps. All right, why we're here. So Josh is going to bring up a poll that you should see pop up on your screen. It's a community check-in poll, and we want you to check all of the options that apply to you. This is going to help shape both today's conversation and any future meetings we decide to have. And I'll give everybody a minute to get their responses in. You'll see that pop up that says community check-in, and we can see about 14% of you have already participated. That number is going up, up, up. We're doing good. So while I give everybody a minute to respond, I want you to know that there are many different reasons that bring us here. We have a diversity of views, people, hopes, dreams, and fears. We don't have to agree on everything. In fact, we may disagree, for example, about what led to Trump getting elected or what's the most important thing to do next. But in community, we could find connection even when we don't see things the same way. After you've answered the poll, you can drop in the chat what brought you specifically here today. And it looks like we've already got 72% in. Let's see if we could get a little bit more than that, if a few more people could answer.
Ma'am, I'm having a hard time getting getting that screen back. There it is. I'm sorry.
All right, good. I'm glad you got it. Sometimes Zoom can be a little tricky. That's okay. All right, we got it just dropped down. I don't know how that happened. Oh, probably somebody came in the room. So if you're coming in the room, Go ahead and answer on our community check-in here. All the options that apply to you. We're just trying to get a sense of who's in the group, what we're looking for. And we've got some good examples of why we're here today rolling in the chat as well. All right. I think we're going to go ahead and, oh, we're at 86%. Maybe we can get it to 90. Let's see if we can get 90% of the room. Yes, I'm seeing some good things in the chat here. All right, we're good with 86%. How about we go ahead and close down that poll and see, oh, 89, somebody answered. Yes, yes, Luann, absolutely. Okay, Josh, let's go ahead and end the poll and let's see what is getting the most responses here. So we could see the winner is I want to understand what's happening and what comes next. Yes, but a close behind that is I'm ready to take action but need direction. I'm right there with you. That's where I am. So I'm really excited to see that a lot of the room is here in this space because I think we're going to end our call kind of answering some of these questions and seeing what's next for us. So I'm going to stop sharing that. All right, so let's get into holding our feelings a little bit because there are some people in the room that are there and want to hold their feelings. And we need to, that's important. So I want to welcome everything that you're feeling in this moment. The rage of what happened, the fear of what's coming, the exhaustion after giving everything to this fight, the confusion about how we got here. Some of us carry generations of resistance in our bones, while others are ready to leap into action right now. Many feel too tired to move, and that's okay too. Some can barely breathe through the weight of it. And those who've worked hardest to prevent this, you might feel tempted to withdraw. And I see you. I have friends in this space, and I honor that. They're not here tonight because they just can't do it, and that's okay too. All of us have some version of a heavy heart. What we're feeling is a normal response to an abnormal threat. Your anger, fear, exhaustion, they all make sense. There's no right or wrong way to feel right now. Before we talk about action, let's take a moment to honor these emotions. They're telling us something important about what matters. So let's slow it down. Take a slow, deep breath with me. You can close your eyes or you can simply soften your gaze. I promise this won't take long. But I want you to feel and notice what you're feeling right now. Whatever emerges, whether it's anger, grief, determination, numbness, just let it be there. With each breath, silently name these feelings to yourself. They're all welcome here. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes and return your attention to our gathering. And let's share what emerged. You could drop a single word in the chat to name what you're feeling. I see some of us are already ahead of the game here. And there's no need to explain how you're feeling. We're just naming it right now. Anger, anxiety, grief, determination. I don't really know how to feel anymore. That makes sense too. Yeah. Despair, tired, sadness, hopeful, frustration, heartbroken, trapped, anger, fight, furious, devastated, restless, numb, disappointed. Yeah. Yeah. I resonate with a lot of these. Look at all those words flowing in. Each one of these feelings matters. Yeah. Each one is heard, and we can hold these feelings together. Right. Let's be clear. What we're facing is serious. A second Trump presidency is going to be more extreme than the first. But understanding the threat doesn't mean accepting defeat. Fascists do their best to convince you to give up hope and give up your power, and we're not going to do that. We've seen these threats before, and yes, that brings fear, but it also brings wisdom. Every person who knocked on doors, made calls, registered voters, You helped show what's possible. Your work matters even when the outcome wasn't what we hoped for. Before we dive deeper, I want us to acknowledge our collective power here. I want you to drop into the chat again one action you took this year, whether you registered voters, showed up at school board meetings, or simply had tough conversations with family. Even the small things matter. Let us know what you did this past year. Canvassing, voter registration, sent 100 postcards, convened people at my house to write postcards. Yes. Look at all these contributions flowing in. Voter registration, wrote postcards. Yes, tough conversations with family and friends. Educating young voters. Talking to family about voting. All right. Let's use, click the reaction button here. Let's give ourselves a clap, a hand, a high five, a love. Let's celebrate each other's work because every single action mattered, right? You've already proven your power, but now we need to harness that energy strategically. Yes. Yeah, we did that as well, Pat. Deactivated X and signed on to Blue Sky. We did that this week. That's a good one. So you've already proven your power. Like I said, we need to harness that energy strategically. So yes, Trump will have presidential authority. And we've seen the past couple of weeks, the people he's going to put on the White House. It's insane. Okay. But our system of government does have built-in restraints. And transforming a democracy into an autocracy isn't quick or easy. Our power lies in using every available tool, from institutions to grassroots organizing, to protect vulnerable communities and ultimately defeat the MAGA movement. Your role is going to look different based on who you are, where you are, what you do. But your role matters, and together our influence grows stronger. So remember, the fascist playbook relies on convincing us that they've won, that there's nothing more to do, and that pushing back is pointless. But that is not true. We have power now, and we will build more power as we go. Our mission over these 4 years is to protect vulnerable communities, defend institutions, and to end MAGA's control. And here's how we can resist. So the first priority is protecting vulnerable communities who face direct threats. These are trans people, immigrants, and those seeking reproductive health care, among other marginalized people. This means building mutual aid networks for healthcare access and basic needs, moving resources to targeted communities, creating community safety teams to counter white nationalist violence, and establishing local support systems like immigrant welcoming committees and abortion support funds. History shows us that organized community protection can blunt the impact of hostile policies, and we start by safeguarding our most vulnerable. The second front is defending our democratic institutions. While these systems aren't perfect, they're crucial barriers against authoritarian control. Remember when the government scientists scrambled to save climate data on outside servers so it wouldn't be erased the last time Trump was president? Well, that kind of insider resistance becomes even more vital now. Government workers, military leaders, and civil servants who stay in their positions can resist harmful directives from within. Our role is to support whistleblowers and ethical resistors, help those who lose their jobs for standing up, rally public support when institutions face attacks, and protect those who protect democracy. I'm getting caught up over my words here, thinking too fast. You could think of these insiders as kind of like our immune system. When we defend them, they can get better at defending all of us. Another important strategy is the other side is disrupt and obey. So while protests do matter, we've seen a lot of protests, disruption requires a bit more than that. We start small, building towards larger actions to resist harmful policies. So at first, these actions, they might be mostly symbolic. For example, during World War II in Norway, people were wearing simple paper clips to quietly show their defiance of Nazi rule. And small acts like these tell others that they're not alone, and they help build courage for larger actions. From there, we scale up. So we could think coordinated boycotts, strategic workplace actions, mass non-cooperation. So beyond just protests, these are proven ways to challenge authoritarian power through nonviolent pressure. And we'll share some specific training resources in the chat at the end of our call. Finally, we need to build progressive power through alternative systems and structures. This means working at the local level to organize worker power, build progressive political infrastructure, and establish mutual aid networks. Organizations like the Working Families Party and the Public Citizen, who put together this whole idea of gathering and gave us resources to do this, have shown how building alternative power structures can transform local politics into national movements. When we create systems that actually serve people's needs, we demonstrate what real democracy looks like. This isn't quick work, but it's powerful. Every action makes us more resilient and shows others what's possible. So remember, you don't have to do everything. We all have to find a role that matches our skills and capacity. Some will protect, others will disrupt, and many will build. But what matters is that we each contribute where we can, when we can. All right, so now we're going to get to the point where y'all are talking too. We're going to move into breakout rooms organized by region with one set aside specifically for my Currituck County people. Your group's task is to choose one of these four roles: protect, defend, disrupt, or build, and identify some specific actions that your community could take in Trump's first 100 days. Josh is going to put a link in the chat to the graphic of actually, I think I could get to it faster. I'll do that right there. So this link will take you to the graphic that we just looked at. And yeah, we both got it. And then you're going to jump into your breakout room. At the bottom, when he opens it up, at the bottom of your screen, you're going to see a button that says breakout rooms. You're going to choose the region you're in. So we have our Currituck County people. We have all other counties in North Carolina. We have one for Virginia, and then one for Maryland, New York, and New Jersey, and another for South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. Thank you, Josh, for holding down the fort. I saw there was some moving around and lots of stuff happening, but it looks like we had a good handful of people in each breakout room. So I'd love to invite one champion from each group to come in and just give us one quick insight. We don't have a ton of time. We're down to 10 minutes now, but give us one quick insight about your room. So let's start with our lively Currituck group. Go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know what your insight is.
I'm sorry, you're talking about Georgia? Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida. Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, again, it's a lot of concern and kind of like, we're going to build something out of nothing because we don't know where we at. But, one thing that we all agree is like we got to find the right sources in order to lean on and to protect ourselves, and also build communities, build the communities because the government side, it won't be more reliable than it is right now. So just, build different community entities and meetings, constantly meetings or these kind of meetings when we keep updated and communicated. But again, I was just saying that, telling them that, let's get to the Democratic Party and see who is going to be the point of contact in every single area in case something happens, to kind of like guide us what to do. But, and I think that's what we're doing right now. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of. So don't be discouraged. We don't say, in my company, we say, don't panic. Let's pivot.
Don't panic, just pivot. That's a really helpful insight, Vicki. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. All right, so that was our Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida group, right? Who's next?
I can go. Our group was Maryland, West Virginia, Virginia. And I think what we basically said was that it's hard to identify, protect, defend, disrupt, build yet, because we don't know what those things look like. But we did spend, when we finally got to it and then we ran out of time, like looking at each person's interest and skill set. So someone was strategic planning, someone was, developing tools to give to people so they know how to activate themselves. Some was a convener, a builder. So just having people assess themselves so they know what's the best role they can play. And I think most of us said, oh, we're ready. We want something to do. And I think we're all chomping at the bit. I think we all, for those of us that have $5, $10, $100 to give, it'd be great to know which organizations, are the best high impact, most efficient, is it the ACLU, is it Planned Parenthood, or whoever it is. So getting a clearer sense of who's out there and doing it in the best, most efficient way would be great also.
That's a wonderful insight as well. And I will go ahead and put a plug here. The resources that we are using tonight, all of the tips and tricks and all of the information we have is from the Working Families Party, who put up hundreds of candidates in this last election and won many of those seats. And I just became a regular member myself, where I'm donating $3 a month to their organization. And I think that that is a wonderful way to give back, because they're the ones who are doing the work of bringing us all together. It looks like we're just here, but really it was the work of these wonderful people who put things together and allowed us to do this. So thank you for that insight. All right, we have room for one more insight. Maybe we won't get to all the groups, but how about one more insight? Who wants to talk? No? Okay, we're going to move forward then. That is okay. So we are going to, yes, indivisible, common cause, public citizen. Peggy, that is spot on. Those are great. Okay, let's talk about next steps, because it sounds like a lot of us in the Currituck group too, the group that I was in, we are talking about ready to move forward. What do we do? We're not sure what to do. And that was kind of the sense we got at the poll in the beginning of our meeting today too. So let's talk about next steps. One thing people who have been living under autocracies have been telling us is that the political space can really start to shrink. They say the biggest reason isn't because of violent repression. It's actually because people get scared. They start to live smaller lives, they start to shrink and wilt, and they don't use the political space that they have. So we have to resist this pressure to shrink our lives. Every time we speak up at town halls, organize with our neighbors, advocate for workers' rights, we keep democracy's muscles strong. In the months ahead, we're going to have difficult conversations, like at holiday tables next week, I think, in workplaces and throughout our community. We're going to meet 3 distinct groups of people who each need a different approach. Let's see here. Our allies are the first group who've fallen into despair. So these are people who worked hard through this election and now they feel like there's no hope. We can support their return to action by not shaming their retreat, giving them the space they need. The second group of people are the Trump voters who actually might change course. We spoke in our group about how our county is really red and people just voted Republican all the way down without even realizing what they were voting for. And through conversation, those people may not actually agree with Trump's policies, but they voted for him anyway. And so we have an opportunity to talk with them, to have conversations with them. And while seeing them as allies may feel really uncomfortable right now, we can expect that some of those people will shift away from supporting him over time. More on that in a minute. And then we have the third group, and these are the politically disengaged people. They might say, voting doesn't matter. I don't vote. Why would I vote? Instead of judging those people, let's focus on showing them why participation matters. And we'll have opportunities to do that over the next 4 years as well. For each of these groups, our goal is to create a path for engagement not barriers. As Trump gets into office, Working Families Party predicts three things. So first, it will be chaotic. There will appear to be a storm of activity as Trump's people move quickly on their agenda. Their goal is to demoralize us and make us feel isolated. There will be chaos for us as we respond to the many things this administration tries to make happen. And out of that chaos, real things that people care about are going to be broken. Trump's victory was built on nostalgia and vague promises. And now he'll face reality. His actual policies will affect people's daily lives. From abortion bans to mass deportations, when his unpopular agenda hits home and he tries to implement policies that people don't actually want, we're going to fight back. And we're going to use that backlash to move supporters away from his coalition and build our own. And how we act matters. Will we welcome new allies, or are we going to stay exclusive and preach to our own choir? The movement is evolving. New relationships and shifting alliances create opportunities for change. And that's good because there is opportunity in realignment. Those of us who want to fight for a multiracial, truly democratic, and just society can help shape that future. All right. So Josh is going to bring up our community checkout. You'll see it come up on the screen, and we want you to select all that apply to you. We're going to put a doc of resources in the chat as well. He just dropped that in there. And as you're adding your responses there on the community checkout, choosing all of the options that resonate with you, I'd like to close with a warning and an urging. Throughout history, no individual person has ever solved a major political problem on their own. In the months ahead, we are going to face significant setbacks as national policies roll back progress. While we will have some wins, we need to be prepared for difficult losses. And this means we have to pace ourselves. I'm sure some of you remember during the Black Lives Matter movement, white allies like me surged into activism and then disappeared when fatigue set in. This cycle weakens sustained progress, and we have to do better than that. Just as a choir takes turns breathing while maintaining harmony, we have to coordinate our efforts. Some will rest while others step forward. Change is slow, setbacks are certain, but disciplined, sustained action creates impact. And the resources that Josh just put in the chat, which I see I need to open, I'm going to open that right now. Anyone with the link? Okay, should be open now. Thank you for letting us know that it was closed off. Those resources can help guide our involvement. And we are going to share details about a next meeting soon in the follow-up email. It's all about building power. We've already got the resources from the Working Families Party. It's all about how we build power in our communities. I took a look through it and I'm super excited to dig into it myself. So hopefully you all will join us for that one as well. And I want to thank you for being here. Give yourselves like a round of applause for spending your Tuesday evening sitting here talking about how we can build community. Like someone else said earlier, this is just the start. There's no way we're going to solve everything all in one day, but hopefully we can all get going. And as we come out of this funk that I think we've all been for a couple of weeks, maybe we'll have some opportunities to start building some power. Yeah. Thank you. When we connect, we win. I like that one. I like that so much better than when we fight, we win. When we connect, we win. I love that one. All right. Thank you all so much. We are going to share the doc and the recording in a follow-up email with you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here.